Jason, I'll let you know when they're all in. It just takes a little while.
Perfect.
Right, I think all the journalists that were in the waiting room are now in, Jason. I think we are still waiting for Dobbo. So if you don't mind just waiting a minute or two.
Perfect. We'll kick off without Dobbo, and he can jump in when he likes. Is that okay? Or do you want to wait for him?
Do you know what? Go ahead for now. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Hey guys, thanks a million, and thanks for joining us on our latest Coaches on the Couch series. We have a kind of a pack room here today, guys, so we'll keep everything as strict as usual. So 2 questions per journalist. Please raise your hand first. I'll get to you, and then if there's more time at the end, we'll come back around. We've got Connacht head coach Pete Wilkins here today, Glasgow Warriors Franco Smith, Oliver Bet Sharks John Plumtree, Leinster's Leo Cullen, and John Dobson is running a little bit late from DHL Stormers, and he'll join us in the next couple of minutes. So we've got a hand up there straight away. So we're going to start off straight away with Nathan. If you want to jump in there, please, and let us know who your question is for and who you're with. Thanks.
Nathan Kokela from Sports Boom. The question was going to be together for John Plumtree and John Dobson, but when John Dobson comes in, then I'll just answer the question.
Sorry, I've just let Dobbo in. Dobbo, let us know if you can hear us and we can hear you. John Dobson, are you there? Can you hear us?
Might just be a second connecting to audio, I'd say, Shelley.
Perhaps.
I see him. He's in the room anyway.
John Dobson, can you hear us? Dobbo or Michael de Vries, can you hear us? Are you in?
Yeah, we're good. If you got us now, we're good.
Yep, I can hear you, Dobbo. Thanks. Sorry, do continue, Nathan. Thanks for joining, Dobbo.
Very well. Okay, thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks a million. Nathan, you can proceed, so.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much again, Jason. My question's for both John Plumtree and John Dobson, the 2 South African URC coaches. Either one of you can answer first, but how would you sum up the performance of the Currie Cup sides in the round robin, and how's the preparation been for the URC squads for both John and Dobbo?
You shoot first.
Okay. Yeah, it's quite a unique situation. Obviously, you know, a younger group of Currie Cup players to start with, and then the URC coaches coaching a squad, obviously of more experienced URC players, and then later in the competition, using these later Currie Cup games, which is obviously maybe last round of Currie Cup with the semi-final as pre-season games. So yeah, that adds a but you know, nice little flavour to it around. The pre-season games have a little bit more intensity because they, you know, it's obviously a semi-final for us this week and a big game against the Bulls last weekend in Durban. So it's certainly a unique situation. Never been in one before where haven't been able to use 28 players in a pre-season game, rotate guys on, give the boys the right amount of game time. So it's added more pressure in that regard. But the nice part about it is it's put our pre-season games already in a pressure situation. So almost like a URC game to start with. So there's some benefits to it, but there's obviously some parts to it that's not great with the intensity of like a Currie Cup final, like a Currie Cup semi-final that we're going to in Loftus this week. It's yeah, not an ideal situation, but it is what it is, and yeah, we just have to navigate that with the group.
Nathan, our position is probably a little bit different. I think whether we second bottom from the log or something in the Currie Cup, or we finished somewhere out around there. Yeah, also like Plummer, it's a bit of a challenging period, you know, trying to run a pre-season. We took a different approach to the Currie Cup to just try and get as many youngsters out there as we can, but we would definitely like to have done better results-wise and probably prefer to be somewhere where the Sharks were. We weren't expecting, the postponement of the first round of the URC. So we knew that it was the same day as the Currie Cup final, which probably took us out of the mix of that. I don't think we have the resources or the emotional ability to have done both. So now we end up in a position where we're actually scrambling for a friendly now. So it's been I'd agree with Plum. It's been a very unusual preseason. I can see his point. Would we like to be playing in a Currie Cup semi-final? Yes, from a prep point of view, I think it's dead right. Similarity to URC also carries an element of risk. So now we're in a position, let's say, where we're scrambling, trying to get a friendly before we get to Wales. So it's certainly not a traditional ideal preseason. I think all the South African coaches would feel the same.
Definitely.
Well, thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Nathan. Cobus, you want to jump in there, please?
Thank you, Jason. Yes, my question is for John Plumtree. John, just after last season's disappointment in the URC, how do you? There will obviously be massive expectations this year. How do you manage those expectations this year?
No, it's not something I think about. So last year is my first year here. Had a new coaching group. Hadn't worked together. Had a squad that I inherited. Didn't know anyone. This year's quite different in the fact that now a lot of relationships are built. Our coaches are well in place in terms of what I expect from them, and I've learned a lot from them as well. So we're a happy coaching group, and and the same with the players. The players that I've got now, pretty much I trust them, and hopefully they trust me. So it's just a different ball game for us now. So I don't worry about what everyone expects from me. It's what we expect from each other as a group, and that's what we're focusing on. So yeah, we let ourselves down in the URC last year, but like I say, we targeted the Challenge Cup once we were out of that, and we had success in that with once I got a full strength side back. But as we know, with playing two competitions in one calendar year, it's a challenge for everyone. Doesn't matter how strong your squad is, it's still a challenge to do really well in both competitions. So yeah, you've got to navigate that with when you've got a lot of internationals in your team, and the strength of how well you do is the strength of your squad, not the strength of your internationals, and that's the process that we've gone through over the last 5-6 months. We feel like we've recruited in some good areas and strengthened some areas where we struggled last year, but we're just a happier bunch here now, which makes life a lot easier.
John, just lastly from me, just a word on Sia re-signing with the Sharks.
Yeah, obviously, the world's worst kept secret, isn't it? I mean, there was a little bit of, had a little hiccup along the way with dealing with the two clubs and obviously a transfer fee. But we're delighted to have him back. He wants to be back here. He wants to bring his family back. Emotionally, it's good for him. He's going to be a happy boy being back in South Africa, back in Durban. And yeah, excited about what he brings to the group in terms of just the way he can help bond a team with its different cultures. And yeah, he's going to be massive in that space. And yeah, obviously, outstanding player. So yeah, good for our leadership. Feel like I've got some real quality leaders in my group, which, with a long season ahead, and like I said, the different challenges you've got to navigate in the URC and EPCR, he'll help a lot.
Thank you very much. Thanks, John.
Brilliant. Thanks, Cobus. Jan, do you want to jump in there, please, when you're ready?
Thank you. My question is for John. John, one of the local publications reported this afternoon that Stephen Kitsoff has suffered a neck injury. Firstly, is it true? And if so, have you got any idea how long he's going to be sidelined for?
Jan, he's done some ligaments. So I don't know what grade yet in the quite high up on his neck. So he's 6 weeks. I think 6 weeks is the reassessment date. So from what I understand, he's out for 6 weeks at least. Neck and ligaments and stability is quite a sort of dangerous cocktail. You know what I mean? It's a cocktail you want to be very conservative about, not the ones you drink in the East Rand. So it's it's one you want to take very cautiously. So I reckon he's 6 weeks minimum, yeah. 6 weeks, and we'll be able to tell you how many more weeks after that. That's exactly as much as I know. But it's ligaments and he's
Yeah, so it's pretty safe to say he's out for the year in 2 as well.
Where we now? Sorry, I'm not trying to be vague.
September, mid-September.
Yeah, mid-September.
I mean,
yeah. I'd say
Okay.
so.
Okay. Then both you and John, both John and John Plumtree, both Johns, the movement, the decision to move the first round, the derbies, to next year, how does it impact your build up? I think John touched on it briefly about you wanted to build up in the Currie Cup and that, and you guys also planned for that. How a bigger impact or setback is it for both teams?
Like I'll take this one first. For us, it was a hell of a setback. Well, would have approached the Currie Cup differently, for one. I mean, there's no question around that. And then secondly, I think all the coaches on this call would have had every session planned, your whole progression plans, how many minutes you wanted for each player ready for that first game. And for that to sort of be, I suppose, indefinitely postponed was, through the whole preseason. We were suddenly, as I said, we literally on the phone today trying to organize a friendly. So it's disruptive. Of course, it's disruptive. And also, we're looking forward to the momentum of playing in Cape Town Stadium, THL Stadium. We've driven season tickets hard, a lot of interest, and now, that's sort of taken away. So it's been a blow both in terms of our prep and for trying to get this sort of season underway in Cape Town. But I suppose we'll have more inventory later on, because us against the Bulls is it's a big occasion for the sort of rugby fans of Cape Town. So take it off the table is a bit disappointing, but I suppose something to look forward to whenever it's replayed in February or March.
Yeah, and I guess as well that fixture's been shifted now to a later date, and like John said, when you do your planning, with our Springbok resting and how we've got to rest the boys, game gets shifted. So we've just got to, the organisers just got to be better than this. If we're going to play a competition through the summer months, through this winter months here, and then it impacts on the URC, we can't impact on our planning. So they've got to get better organised, because we spend a lot of time planning post Christmas. Now we've got another game to add to the calendar, where we were more than happy to play. If we reach Currie Cup final, we're more than happy to play that Currie Cup final and a URC game, because we would have just played a younger group, a different group guys that missed out in the 23 in a Currie Cup final, and then carried on with it. And I think that's what everyone was happy to do, but barring one or two provinces, I believe. So yeah, it's just a pain. It's just another game to find time for later on.
I agree with Plum. It's really poor. Yeah, totally agree.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Robert, you want to come in there, please?
It's for Franco Smith. Franco, do you feel you've got a target on your back this year?
Definitely. It goes without saying, I think, Rob. It doesn't change what we need to do and how we're going to go about our business, though. But I'm sure, that the teams will approach us differently. So yeah, I definitely feel that there will be some more interest in our performance this season.
Edinburgh were dreadful last season, didn't make the top 8. What do you expect from them?
Oh, obviously, I think they're a quality outfit, quality squad, good coaching group, and they've added they added some good value to it. So no, we expect them to be as good as ever. They've got a quality outfit there, and it's going to be tough, the derbies over Christmas.
Thanks, Max. My 2 questions up, Franco.
Cheers. Thanks, Robert. Andrew, do you want to jump in there, please, when you're ready?
Yeah, cheers. Just two for Frank Smith as well. Frank, I read you're a little frustrated after the preseason friendly against Connacht. Has it been tricky with the boys coming back, or some of the boys coming back so late after such a long season last year?
No, obviously that played a role, the fact that we finished very late and we had most of the squad traveling with Scotland over the summer. So, the rest, the way we play, the creativity and enthusiasm are important ingredients. So to have them back a little bit later was important. So again, I'm not too concerned as I think most of the coaches around the table about the preseason games. We've done enough. I'm not dissatisfied where we are, absolutely not. And the results, you don't read much in the results. The approach and prep is different going forward. So not concerned at all, but we'll be looking forward to having some fresh boys in the environment.
And I think since we last spoke, David Nusafora was appointed at Scottish Rugby. Have you worked with him before, and have you spoken to him yet since he's been appointed? How closely do you see yourself working with him?
Oh, look, obviously, when I was performance director at Italy, with the Italian environment, we got a lot to do with each other and spoke often, and we share similar ideas from that perspective. So I've had a meeting with him just to explain where we're about, and what we're trying to do here. So I think his focus will lean more to the rest of Scotland's player pathway, not immediate. No, I can't foresee immediate change to what's should be done at our level, but he's definitely going to influence the pathway as soon as possible, I believe.
Cheers, Franco.
Thanks, Andrew. William, if you want to jump in there when you're ready, please. Thank you.
Sorry, took me a second to find the unmute button. Question for Pete Wilkins, Connacht. Pete, you're 2 games into the pre-season, 2 wins. What's the overall feeling now? I suppose it's getting closer, that game in Munster on Saturday week.
Yeah, it is getting closer, William. I think obviously, a couple of wins so far in pre-season is important mindset-wise. It's important for building that bit of momentum, but you also don't want to be misled by that. I think those first 2 games in particular, it's about getting guys minutes. It's about looking to see for some of those aspects that you're either trying to change or tweak in your game from the previous season. So, we've been pleased with the progress in that, but at the same time, going away to Thomond Park round 1, it's, a different challenge altogether. So it's one we're looking forward to, and, but we'll certainly need to use the next 2 weeks prep really wisely in anticipation of that.
Some senior players or older players left at the end of last season, some younger players coming in, like Piers O'Connor, who's coming from Bristol, but some have come through the Connacht system. How are they settling in, and do they already feel part of the potential to be picked structure for games? Are they all putting their hands up? They're expecting to get picked.
Yeah, look, I think everyone that's turned out for us in those first 2 pre-season games has made a strong case for selection. They're all going to be part of the conversation when we get round to round 1. As you mentioned, Piers O'Connor's come in. He's played over 100 games in the Premiership over in England, and you can see his quality and his experience in terms of how quickly he's picked up the nuances of our game, but also how he's using his voice around the group in a leadership sense as well. So, he'll be important for us along with his utility value. Dave O'Connor, actually probably a bit more under the radar, but has joined us from Ealing, returning to Ireland. And again, it's someone who's captained a side in the Championship over there. And just having a bit of that experience, Josh Murphy returning to us as well. As much as we want to bring guys through our pathway and develop talent here, to have some of those more experienced heads around the group, I think will be a real plus.
Thanks, Pete. Good luck. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks, William. Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Ashfaq, if you want to jump in there when you're ready, please. Thank you.
Thank you. This is for John Dobson. You mentioned sort of looking for a friendly now. Do you feel that you are ready for the URC season at this stage? And also, what would you say needs to be done differently this time around? I mean, you guys did well to come fifth on the log last season, but obviously came up short against Glasgow in the quarterfinal?
Yeah, no, we're definitely not ready at the moment. Yeah, that game against Griquas, we played a Curry Cup, was meant to be our last game, but then once we had postponement, we knew we had to find another game. So, you know, so there's still guys like Warwick Gelant, who Ruan Nell's got no game time, a guy like Dan Duplessis only on 60 minutes, and so is Neertling Forshare. So we're way off match readiness now. Different in our season. Yeah, I think the areas we probably want to improve on. I think there's some areas around line out to more that we could get better, more defense. But you know, we feel like we've been there or thereabouts in all three URCs. You know, Kitsi obviously, Kitsi and JD Schikkeling and Dave Ewers are three guys we feel we just needed to add a bit more depth so we could compete. Plum mentioned about both competitions. We just didn't have the depth amongst our forwards to compete in both. So probably beefed up in the right area there. Blow Kitsi's out for at least for 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. That's a blow. But it's probably more around, you know, learning. You learned a lot about, you know, Franco's on this call, how effective Glasgow were in the maul and the line out and how well they contested, and probably an area that we needed to sharpen up in. So that's probably where we boosted up in personnel and spent a lot of preseason, but we're not ready yet. We definitely have to find a game. So if anybody's volunteers on the group, let me know. We'll be there.
Okay. Just another one quickly, Dobbo. In terms of selection and managing your resources through the season, that's, I guess, is always a challenge because of the length of the URC, but you also have Champions Cup where you really have to compete for the trophy as well. So how do you see that going and dealing with juggling your resources?
I think we're still learning with that, the South African teams, to be honest. You know, we just haven't had the depth. There was 1 year where we played Exeter in a quarterfinal. I think it was 2 years ago, and we got back to Cape Town after Munster. We were already waiting for us here, you know. So we've got to get better at that without. So that's probably like I just mentioned those names in terms of trying to create some depth. Our challenge is probably, you know, we probably got a Springbok or two extra that we didn't expect necessarily, like a guy like Sasha or BJ. And I think Plum mentioned that about the Sharks as well. It's a hell of a management project when you factor in their resting and a lot of guys on national duties, which it's not like the old days of Super Rugby. So that juggling, and we're not good enough at the moment. We play La Rochelle last season in a last 16 game, which I think we lost in the last second, and then we lost at home to Ospreys the next week. So we're just clearly not good enough in all arranging our squad. And that question, Ashfaq, is probably the key work on for us over this season, to be better at juggling resources, the national, the resting, the two competitions. We're not there yet.
Brilliant. Thanks. Stephen, if you want to jump in there when you're ready, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi, guys. Dobbo, it's all very good to say that you would be looking for another loose-head prop. But the question, of course, is there another one in the market? But are you going to maybe look for one, you know, with Kitsi, Ali, and Lizo out?
Yeah, so listen, the market's done, I think, for this season. I mean, you know, you can't replace Stephen Kitsoff. There aren't any of those guys floating around and hanging on trees, you know. So, you know, there's no point, you know, that's a different level. And we've got enough, you know, Leon Lyons has come in from Griquas. Steve Satole is fit again. We've got two really good, promising youngsters in is Vernon, or at least one in Vernon Tonga. No, look, it's thin, but I mean, you don't replace Stephen Kitsoff at this stage of a season. Everybody's contracted. So, yeah, we had the best scrum differential in the competition last year without Kitsi. And we've got a promising youngster called Brock Harris who's just going to have to go again, you know. So that's, yeah, that is it, Steve. It's the cards we dealt. I just hope that Stephen's nearer a 6 to 8 week than anything longer than that. But there's no prospect of us finding an uncontracted loosehead who can make a difference. There's no point if you've got youngsters. You'd rather back your youngsters like Vernon and Leon than go to a market for a guy who's not going to make a difference. So no, we're done.
And then just, you know, obviously last year, the tour, the 4 losses, you guys actually came back and did well on your, you know, away games later. But, you know, if you go back to the 4 losses, you guys won so many games after that, but it's almost as if that forced you into a little bit of conservatism and took away your chemistry. How important will this tour be, you know, just to you know, just get at least 2 wins or something like that.
Yeah, and you did right, Stephen. I thought it made us much poorer. Felt like we had a dagger to our throat the whole season, and I got much worse with the rotation. So because you thought let's take for example, Ruben van Heerden was our best lock, so we kept playing him because we were so desperate to win, which meant the other locks in the squad didn't get much rugby, which meant they became poorer, which means when we did play them, we judged them, and the squad became a little bit stratified. The year that we won, we used 57 players. Last year, we used in the high 40s, and that was because of our conservatism. And suddenly those crazy offloads that we were famed for, we were taking a bit more serious, a bit less serious, a bit more seriously last year. So we had a knife to our throat the whole season. It wasn't an enjoyable season because of that for the start. So we need to get a win or 2 on tour. We hoped to start with a nice home game with the Bulls, but no, we absolutely have to do that because we were under pressure the whole season. I think we did well to fight to where we finished, but it was tough from the start.
Cool, thanks.
Thanks, Steve.
Cheers, thanks. Ken, if you want to jump in there when you're ready, please.
Thanks, James. For John Plumtree, how's it, Plum? You mentioned earlier about you feel like you've recruited in some good areas ahead of this season, but I think in terms of the Currie Cup, you guys might have actually benefited the most out of any team. Just you started the Currie Cup with such a young, about 3-4 weeks into the Currie Cup, you switched to a very young side, and those guys really came through superbly. Just how much has that kind of boosted your depth? I mean, how excited are you about some of the talent that you've exposed in the Currie Cup?
Yeah, no, it's worked out well. I mean, it wasn't like it was planned or anything. I was never going to play guys like had heavy URC seasons in the Currie Cup. I mean, you think about South African rugby at the moment. If you want to come and watch live live rugby in South Africa, you can just come at any week of the year. There's a live game on somewhere. So because of our ridiculous calendar that we've got, we've had to use youngsters in our academy, guys that have, there's obviously a few South African under-21 boys there, finished their tournament down in Cape Town and came back and played for us. And so I knew about some of these younger guys, and it was good to put them on that stage, a little bit more pressure on them and see how they went. They lost his first 3 games. There's a little bit of talk around, okay, Plum, bring your URC players back, but I didn't want to do that, so stuck with them. And then JP Peterson did a really good job of bringing some of those boys through. And it's great because it adds to your depth of URC squad, and that's what we do have in this country. We've got great depth. But putting them on that Currie Cup stage was fantastic for us, and I know that a lot of the other provinces would have profited from it as well. So yeah, no, it is good, but they, of course, as with so many internationals out, we do have a squad, but then if you lose 2 or 3 guys in the one position, then you'd get stressed as well. And right now we've got a lot of backs injured, so we'll play a couple of guys out of position. But yeah, going back to your question, that is the positive about having the Currie Cup this time of the year. The only positive, by the way. And what it's also done is the organisers of... Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, fire away.
Right,
yes, John.
Also, with the URC coaches bringing full-strength sides back into the later part of the Currie Cup, it's given the Currie Cup a little bit more of a bit more of a spectacle, whether it's a full-strength Bulls team and a full-strength Lions team for a Currie Cup final will be better than it has been for the last few years. So that is the other positive about it.
Perfect. Thanks. Jerry, do you want to jump in there when you're ready, please?
Thank you very much. Just checking Leo Cullen is there. Bad news, Leo, you're going to get a couple of questions. I'm sure you'd like to have kept a low profile, but look, there was no shame in losing that Champions Cup final to Toulouse. We see what Toulouse did 5 weeks later in the French final against Bordeaux-Bègles, and it is what it is, and the margins are tight. But after 3 seasons without a trophy, do you and the management and the squad feel under a bit more pressure this season?
Hi, Jerry. Hello, everybody. I've enjoyed all the answers there, listening to coaches. Yes, I understand and sympathize with lots of your issues that you have. And Jerry, yeah, listen, there's some great clubs involved in the two competitions that we're in, so we don't have any rights to do anything. So we've, as you know, we've lost 3 Champions Cup finals now in a row. So, and they're tight margins. That's the big thing for us. We've when you're bringing through young players in particular, you know, for all of us, we try to learn as we go. So another great challenge for us this year, and the group is heavily motivated now. Similar again to, or sorry, 3 losing URC semi-finals in a row as well. So, and all very, very different ways in how that's come about. So, we're involved in 2 competitions with serious quality teams. So, our group is, I guess, excited to get going again now. So, yeah, it's a great challenge. So we're only looking forward.
Last season you went slightly unusually. You went with joint captains, and it even led to confusion on the pitch one day. I seem to remember a referee saying he would refuse to speak to James and only to Gary. Have you decided on a single captain this year? Is it joint captains again?
There'll be an announcement very shortly, Jerry. So you know, we only wait a couple more days, and I think Marcus will have something for you, official.
What are your targets this season? Seeing as that question doesn't count, then, Leo. That's not one of my 2 questions because you didn't get an answer.
Our target at the moment is trying to get a positive result in round 1 against Edinburgh, because you know Franco's on the call there. He did a good number on us in round 1, where they got 5 points, we got none in the first round, and so they went on to win the trophy. So yeah, if we get something out of round 1, that'll be a positive start for us. Because it's tricky. Like, listen, every club has different challenges leading into the season. You know, managing the reintegration of international players, what's happened during the course of the summer, when players come back, you know, trying to get enough rest periods at different stages, and it's navigating that is the big thing. So if you think, obviously we're going into a block of 6 games at the start, you know, you want to get yourself, you know, obviously different teams are talking with different challenges at the start of the season. You don't want to be in that situation where you are trying to chase points down the line. So you want to try and manage things a little bit on your terms. So listen, if we get off to a good start against Edinburgh, that's all we're asking for at the moment, and then we'll get greedy and we'll want more and more and more as the week goes on. So, but yeah, we've a tough start against Edinburgh, so that's where we're fully focused at the moment.
Thank you, Leo.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jerry. Cian, if you want to jump in there when you're ready, please. Thanks.
Yeah, cheers. Sticking on Leo. Hey, Leo, how are things? Can you give us an update on RD Snyman? Is he doing his rehab in Leinster now? Are there plans for him to go back to South Africa for the Rugby Championship? And when do you hope that he'll be fully fit?
So yeah, RD came back. He had an issue with his foot. Like, it's pretty minor, thankfully. So he is rehabbing with us at the moment. He was out on the side of the pitch there, so just come in from a session there. That was this afternoon. So he was doing a rehab run there. So he is making progress. Yeah, he should be back. I'm not sure he'll be back for round 1, but hopefully by round 2 or 3 he'll be back for us. Yeah, with South Africa, like, is in terms of the Rugby Championship games, the way I understand it, like, listen, he was going to be pretty tight for. He's not going to be available. You've seen they've already announced a squad for this week that will travel to Argentina. So he's likely to stay with us then for the remainder.
Thank you. Plenty of talk as ever about the out half situation. In your mind, is that open going into this season? And does what Kieran Frawley did in South Africa over the summer change your mind in any way? Do you see him as a potential to start the season, or whenever he's available to play as your starting 10?
Yeah, well, listen, we probably be having different conversations from all to kick the drop goal when you come off the bench against Toulouse. So pretty much from the exact same spot he did where he kicked it from in Durban. So yeah, listen, Kieran's someone it's accumulating experience, which is fantastic that he puts himself in that situation again. You know, so over the course of pre-season, we played 2 games. Harry started 1 game, Ross started the other. You know, Sam has come back, as you know, he didn't play on tour, so he got some minutes last week against Northampton. So listen, we're in a good position, the 4 guys that we have. And yeah, let's see how they get on. Like, as in, I need to be open-minded in terms of some of the selection calls there, because it's over to them a little bit. Like, they need to prove what they can do. So we're lucky that we have a good competitive group, and they'll all get their opportunities at different stages of the season, and then, you know, someone will emerge to play a key role, I guess, over the course of the season. Then
Cheers, yeah, thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks. Guys, we have no one else with hands up there. If you want to go up, we can, if there's anyone that hasn't asked a question yet, you can put your hand up now. If not, I'll open the floor to people to put their hands up and we'll go back around again, even if you've already asked a question. I see I still have, Robert, you still have your hand up there still. Do you still want to come back in again, do you? You're on mute there, Robert.
Franco, just going back to your situation, you've been pretty bad in pre-season in terms of results. Is that a concern?
No, I think I've answered that one. I'm not concerned about that. We're integrating the boys as they come in. We've used a young squad, like I said, and I mean, Leo's brought it up. We have our responsibility to bring the next generation Scottish players through as well. We know about the 8-team program that Scotland is working on, and what that forms part of the new pathway. So used a lot of those players, and obviously all the coaches have mentioned about the depth of the squad and the expectation around performance in both competitions. So important to have a look at everybody. There's Scotland have 4 test matches in the autumn, so it's going to be a full program for the national players. Therefore, important to have seen for the other guys that come in much earlier to prep for the season.
Cheers, Franco.
Brilliant. Simney, do you want to come in there? Sorry, Simney Kiwi, I've not pronounced that correctly. Apologies.
That was very good. Thank you. One question for John Dobson and the other one for John Plumtree. I'll start with John Dobson. John, you spoke about unexpected Springboks. Obviously, you know, the one guy everyone's talking about in South Africa is Sasha. And, you know, in terms of the Springbok reckoning, he seems to be a little bit ahead of Mani, and you guys were carefully managing him into that position. How do you guys handle it when you've now got both players back in tow?
I hope one of them are injured, Sim, because I don't really mean that. No, it's a tricky one because the thing is, we've also got Damien Willems, so, you know, all these 10, 12, 15s. So it's a great position to be in, but you know, we're just going to have to, you know, Sasha's made it clear that he wants to be a 10 throughout his career. You know, Damien's different. He wants to play anywhere. Marnie's out and out 10. I know he has played 15 before. So it'll just be pure rotation. I mean, we're blessed to have it, but, you know, so we didn't expect it, but it's going to be a straight rotation. I mean, you know, I think the competition starts and Damien's available. Damien will probably start at 10 till the others come back from the national team. And then we've got a problem. One of them will have to sit on the bench at some stage. But yeah, I guess it's sorry for the cliche, Sim, but it's a nice position to be in.
No worries, thanks. Question for Plum. John, one of the big problems you guys have had is, you know, although you've got a fair few Springboks in your roster, one of the issues is they tend to get sort of rested at the same time by the Springboks. Are you a little worried about, you know, what might come? Because, you know, looking at your squad on paper, it's pretty stacked with Springboks.
Yeah, no, that's right. And that's what I said at the start. You know, the challenge has always been to make sure the squad is in good shape, that we can win without the Springboks. And that's clearly what we couldn't do last year. You know, we've, you know, I guess contracting Springboks, there's a balance, isn't there? And, you know, the question is, have we got that balance right? I don't know, but it is what it is right now. But yeah, once we are full strength, and long as we have done it right with the other group, you know, it's a strong side. And, you know, that strong side could be playing in a really important part of the season, particularly around the EPCR games. You know, if we can navigate those games home and away well with the squad, and get to a nice position in one of those competitions, and then come full strength, then we've got a great chance, and especially if we can get them home, the home games. So similar to the coaches on this call with, you know, a lot of international players. It's how you manage them, how you use them. Obviously, there's going to be times when you haven't got them. So yeah, real tough as a head coach to plan and get it right. And, you know, that's the challenge for us.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks. Peter, if you want to come in there when you're ready, please. Thank you. You're just on mute there, Peter, if you don't mind.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, all good. Fire away.
Okay, sorry. Question for Leo. Hi, Leo. I'm wondering to what extent you can pick from a full deck from round one this season. Obviously, it's a lot different from last year. So what sort of freedom do you have? And have you thought much about using the same strategy as to when and where you can use your international players?
Yeah, hi Peter. Yeah, it's pretty similar to some of the other coaches. Like there's a bit of common sense here, isn't there? So if you think when players finish tour, the involvements in the test that they had, so some of those guys that have played, big role there and carried the lows, so to speak, so they'll be a little bit slower coming back, whether that's round 2 or 3, probably not available for round 1. So some guys obviously have played less on tour will be available for round 1, and a little bit depending on how their previous season has gone as well. So, and there's a little bit of need in terms of what does the team need, and how we can manage the players in the squad over the first 6 games. So I know that's a very vague answer, but without giving too much away, you hopefully will understand that. So, because everyone is obviously carrying a slightly different load from the previous season. So, but yeah, we'll manage our way through it. It is tricky enough to manage. But that's the first 6 rounds, and then obviously we're off to November internationals after that, and then do something similar again depending on how players have gone during those, which is obviously the Ireland 4 test this November. So how that plays out over the course of those 4 tests, who's played what, and then we'll have to manage things because we're into Champions Cup then after that, and the Christmas Interbros that we have here. So there'll be a little bit of management probably over that period of the year as well. So, and again, like what it's all about is making sure that we're looking after the players, because the rugby, it's like there's plenty of it and high intensity game. You want to make sure that everyone's able to fire. You know what I mean? So I know from a supporter's point of view, there's can be frustrations within that, but listen, it's for the benefit of the players ultimately. So making sure they're able to fire when they really need to have to fire. So over the course of a long season. But anyway, like it's an exciting season. It's a great challenge. Every time we rotate, it's an opportunity for someone else, and somebody with competitive here as well. So you want to give guys opportunities, and it's great that we're able to do that. So I think we will probably chop and change our team quite a bit over the first 6 rounds of the season. And part of that is there's a necessity to that, which is positive, and hopefully have strong competition. But there can be a challenge from a cohesion point of view. So, but again, we'll just have to navigate our way through it as best we can.
Okay, and just on the out half position, having so much depth there, does that create a stress from you? Surely you'd like to, for example, to say to a guy, well, we're going to give you a block of 4 or 5 games here, but that probably isn't feasible if you've got such depth.
Yeah, I was interested to listen to Davos' answer there, so I might get on the call to him and see how he plans to manage things. He's got some good talent at his disposal there as well. So, and it is, yeah, like, as in you do want to give guys an opportunity, a genuine opportunity. But at some point, again, you've got to build a bit of cohesion for the team. So, listen, guys, we'll get an opportunity. All 4 of them will give it an opportunity. 3 of the 10s have played over the course of the last 2 weeks during the preseason game. So we already have a bit of an opinion and a view being formed already as a group of coaches. So, listen, I think that'll continue over the next few weeks. As we know, there's an Emerging Ireland tour as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly who's going to go on that, but that'll get announced in the next 10 days or 2 weeks. So, so we'll see if that obviously plays a part then as well. So if somebody is gone, then see that's one less player that we have here. So, but again, it's opportunity to see somebody playing in South Africa.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Leo. Reese, you want to jump in there when you're ready, please? Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody, from a very wet Wales. I've got 2 questions for all the coaches, really. One is squad depth. How many players do you have that are URC ready within your squads? And then the next question would be, who do you think of all the URC teams could surprise you this year with the quality that they get onto the field? Most probably start in the south. Who's further south? I think that's Mr. Dobson, maybe in Cape Town, and work our way north with the answers.
How many players we got URC already? No, we're not, is the truth. I'd say we played we've played one Currie Cup game. So no, we're a game off.
Well,
I think
my question, John, is how, regardless of
I
where
see the depth you
now,
mean.
sort of URC ready, capable of playing that standard of rugby. What's your squad depth,
Fair point. Well, we've got about 48 contractor guys, and I reckon close to 38 of them we could slip them in without a problem. You know what I mean? Maybe 40 with a couple of the youngsters. I like what Franco said about a team like Edinburgh. I think they thing. Obviously, the Sharks in South Africa, we're a much different proposition this year. So you talk about last year's finishing guys who didn't finish in the top few. I'd say those would be two teams to really look out for. I thought Connacht also growing. We had a hell of a tough time there. I know Pete's on this call, but yeah, those would be the sort of guys I'm not looking forward to playing. If that answers the question. I know you got 3 more to get through.
Yeah. Thanks, John. So I'm guessing we head to Mr. Plumtree next.
Yeah, pretty much the same as Dobbo, really. Probably around that same number. We're happy to beat anyone right now, to be honest, after our season we had last year. So everything's a challenge for everyone's going to be a good challenge for us, particularly without the Springboks. So it's sort of uncharted waters with the group I've got. Brought in 5 or 6 new players, blended in with the group that I've got. Our squad right now is a little bit, we're a little bit shorter numbers. We released 14 players from here last year. So yeah, relying on some of the youngsters around that came through the Currie Cup. So yeah, it's hard for me to say who I think might be a surprise package. I think for me, traditionally the derby games are always really tough. And then you see how you get on when you go overseas. Different challenges over there as well. Different places that we play: Ireland, Wales, Italy. So yeah, Scotland. Don't forget Scotland. I'll be okay. Hey, Franco.
Yeah, thanks, John. Leo, if I come to you next in Dublin before going a little bit further west to Galway there.
Yeah, well, we have a senior squad of 43 players, and we had a number of players away on tour during the summer in South Africa. So, how you try to manage some of those guys over the course of the season is a challenge. Listen, we want everybody up to URC standard, but primarily we're bringing guys through the system, so they come through the academy. So even over the last couple of weeks, we would have played a dozen guys, I'd say, during the pre-season games, and some of those 12 players have gone well. And you're asking yourself, are these guys going to be ready to make the step? And that's the thing. I guess there's probably been frustrations with some of maybe our selections over the years in terms of bringing some young guys through at different games. But listen, we need to be able to bring them through, because that's what the future of Leinster is the younger players coming through the academy. So we're working on those young guys all the time, and you want them to be successful, but it takes a bit of, they need to learn some lessons. They'll have a couple of tough days out, on that journey from whatever cap number 1 to whatever they end up on. So it's not straightforward. Some of them take to it very, very quickly. Others, they have setbacks along the way, and they've got to restart for whatever reason and go again. So, but that's the beauty of the competition that we're in as well. And every club has a slightly different challenge. And listen, it's a fantastic competition to be part of. So anyway, for us, we're excited to get going, but that's the numbers that we deal with. So 43 in the senior squad, and then we're into the academy crew after that then.
And any surprise packages do you think you're going to face? Someone who's going to really step up to the mark this year that maybe didn't prove that last year?
In terms of our player group?
No, in terms of your opposition.
Opposition. Yes, as I said at the start, we went to Scotland away round 1, came away with nothing, and the team we lost to went on to win the title. So, I think Edinburgh, they were always a team with so much talent. So, that's what we're focused on at the moment.
Okay. Pete, let's go over to Galway. What kind of numbers do you have that are URC ready?
Yeah, hi Reece. We've got a senior squad of 44. Of those, I'd say probably 30 are pushing really hard for selection every week. The remainder, that's the really interesting group. There'll be some that get their opportunity due to training form, some get their opportunity due to injuries, and there's always some surprise packages in there. So I think that's the really interesting bit. Plus, a few of the senior academy guys that, as I said, you only need a couple of injuries in a key position, and all of a sudden they're getting game time, and you find someone who takes to it really quickly. So look, that's our numbers in terms of the competition. I'm always really interested around that sort of middle section of the table. Quite often, for us at Connacht, you're looking at teams like Benetton, the Ospreys, Cardiff, Edinburgh. We're often in that discussion or in that fight for qualifying into the top 8, and I think quite often, all of those teams very difficult to beat at home. Tend to win a similar enough amount of games, and it's whoever's picking up losing bonus points and 4-try bonus points tend to get in those ahead. So yeah, that group always really interests me from a personal perspective. And certainly once you get a role in this competition, if you have a good tour to Africa within it, some of those teams can move up the ladder pretty quickly.
Thanks very much, Pete. And Franco, you're the furthest north in Glasgow. What's your squad numbers like, and who you maybe thinking that can prove a point next year? And what's the weather like in Glasgow?
Okay, first of all, we also a group around 43 seems to be the number to have in our groups. We clearly proved in the 2 warm-up games that we don't have enough players yet, to make the step up. We've a lot of players made a step up last year, despite that they've only played a number of games in the URC. I think we're around about 30 or 31 players. There's a lot of these players that for me still forms part of our transition progress that we want to make with them. So I would think we sit around 30 players at the moment. And then obviously I've got the worlds of respect, having been in this competition for years. So I've got a lot of respect for all the teams on here. So I do feel like Leo has been saying we don't want to look further than Ulster, but I do feel teams like Connacht has proven this week that they were organised. Zebre was actually well organised when we played them the other day, but I feel Cardiff might be the team that surprise this year.
Great. What about the weather?
Well, summer was on a Wednesday between 2 and 4 here in Scotland.
Just one Wednesday, I guess. Thanks to all the coaches. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Thanks, Reece. We'll take a couple of more questions as if anyone else wants to come back in that's already asked a question, or if there's anyone there that hasn't asked a question yet and has one now. Cian, pop in there. Cheers.
Yeah, just a quick one for Leo again. Leo, what's the latest on Jameson? When do you expect he'll be back fit?
He's training fully now, so yeah, should be good to go for round 1, hopefully.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else, lads? Or are we all good? No, we'll leave it there.